Alright guys, today we're going to take a look at what we call the coordinate plane. So if you look at our objective, there's a lot of definitions, a lot of words in there that we'll define, so it'll make a little more sense. But our objective today is to be able to identify the quadrants, the x and the y axis, the origin, and be able to graph points on this coordinate plane. So let's start with defining what is the coordinate plane. And there will be a picture on the next board for you. But it's simply a grid system that's formed when we have two number lines that cross at their 0 points. So we're pretty familiar with our standard number line, which usually runs horizontally like this with a 0. I've drawn this for you in some of our other ones. Our positives going that way, our negatives going the other. Well, now what we're going to do is we're going to add a second number line, which runs vertically, where the negative numbers run on the bottom and the positive run at the top. Where they cross here, that's our 2 0 points. So the origin is simply that 0 0 point where the two lines cross. I've written it in red, so you'll notice that it's also in red right in here. This point here where the two lines cross is 0 0, the two zeros are crossing. That is our origin, which they're starting from. The x-axis is this horizontal one. I've labeled it over here with the x. And the y-axis is our vertical number line. So the two axes are simply referring to our two number lines. One runs horizontally, one runs vertically. And it's very important to keep them straight. Otherwise, we tend to plot points backwards when we're trying to do it. So make sure we know which one is the x and which one is the y. The last thing I want to define is our ordered pair. An ordered pair is simply the coordinates or the location of a point. It tells me where the point is. So if you look, I have a point here which I call point A. How do we list our ordered pair? We listed it with our x value first and then our y value. So that tells us how we're going to locate it. So basically what I'm asking is how far over on it, over in the x-axis is it? So it's 1, 2, 3 points over. And then the second one is how far up or down on our y-axis is it? It's 4. So we went 3 points over, 1, 2, 3, 4 points up. I wind up at my marked point. So that's all we're doing. It's just a way to let you know where to find the point on the grid that we're talking about. All right, the other thing that we wanted to define was the quadrants. Well, what you'll notice is when we cross two number lines, we wind up with 4 equal sections. It splits it up into 4 even parts. Well, we call them quadrants, quad meaning 4, and there's 4 different ones here. So I've labeled them for you. And when you label them, it's not the way you normally think. A lot of people want to go clockwise. We start here. This is the one that's generally used for sciences and a lot of things that you see in newspapers, graphs. A lot of them don't have negative numbers, so they'll just show you this part of the graph, the first quadrant, with an x and a y axis, and it looks more like an L instead of this cross that we have with our coordinate plane. So quadrant 1 is where you'll notice the numbers are both positive. My x values are positive, my y values are positive anywhere within this quadrant. Quadrant 2 I have labeled over here. This is 1, then we work clockwise our way around. Over here you'll notice my x values are now negative. My y values would still be positive though in quadrant 2. Then again, going counterclockwise, quadrant 3, here you'll notice both values are negative. I've got a negative x value, I've got a negative y value. And finally, quadrant 4, you'll notice positive x value, negative y value on everything within this 4th quadrant. And what you'll notice is I've given you the Roman numerals. That's the traditional way to mark quadrants. We use the Roman numerals instead of the numbers, the ordinal numbers that we're used to using. So keep that in mind. All right, so we want to be able to locate these ordered pairs on here. So I have some points that I've already put on here that we'll find the coordinates for, and then I have a couple that we'll plot on here ourselves. So the important thing to remember is it's always x and then y. It goes in alphabetical order, x and then y. The other thing I like to say is over, we go over left or right, and then we go up or down. Again, still in alphabetical order. So the first one's telling me which way I'm going, left or right. The second one's telling me which way I'm going, up or down, depending on if it's positive or negative. So let's start, we'll graph them first and then we'll look at the other ones. So here I want to graph point F. F tells me it's a positive 4 for my x value, positive 5 for my y value. So we always start at our origin, which is 0, 0, where they cross. There's our origin. So it's telling me I want to go over 5. My positive values are to the right, so I want to go to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it tells me it's a positive 5, which is up, so I want to go up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm not just going to leave a point unlabeled. I told you this is point F. We're plotting more than one point, so we need to label them so that we know which point is which. All right, we've graphed that one. So if we take a look at G, X first, so it's telling me to go over 5. It's positive, so I'm going to go to the right, but then it tells me negative 6. So now instead of going up, after I've gone over 5, I'm going to go down negative 6. So I go over 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then down 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you'll notice the points, they don't go in the boxes, they go on the lines. They're always on the lines. The lines are the grids that tell you where you're going. Don't try to put it in the middle of a box. And that was point G, so we're going to label it. All right, point H tells me to go over negative 4 spaces. So this means now instead of going to the right, I need to go to the left because this is my number line. My negative numbers are this way. I'm going negative 4 over, but then it's a positive 1 for my y value, so that means I'm going to go up. 1, 2, 3, 4, up 1. This is point H. Finally, let's point our I value. Here I have a negative 6 and a negative 2. Negative 6 is my x value, so it's telling me to go to the left 6 spaces. The negative 2 for my y value then tells me I need to go down rather than up. So we want to go over negative 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, down negative 2. And label our point I. And what we'll notice is point F wound up in quadrant 1. Point G wound up in quadrant 4. Remember, they go this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, not the other way around. H wound up in quadrant 2. And I wound up in quadrant 3. Just to keep those in your mind as well. All right, now you'll notice there's a few points that I've already plotted for you. Now I want to find the coordinates. We're kind of working backwards. I'm giving you the point, you're telling me what coordinates they are. So here we find point A, and another reason we label them is you wouldn't know what point I was talking about otherwise. Point A. So the first thing I want to do is count how far from the x-axis is this. Well, we're to the left, so it's a negative number. So how far over is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's 7 spots to the left, or it's negative 7 on my x-slope. How far down is it? Well, again, it's going to be a negative value because I'm going down instead of up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it's 6 spots down. So if you go over 7, down 6, you're going to find point A. Point B is over here in quadrant number 4. So again, first we want to find our x value. So how far over is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's 10, or number 10 on our x line. Sorry, x is spaced off. And then how far up or down is it? Well, it's going down, so it would be a negative y value. 1, 2, 3. Negative 3. Our c is up here in quadrant 1, which means both values should be positive. So how far, what number is it on the x line? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 on the x line. And where is it on the y? 1, 2, 3, up 3. Over 4, up 3. Now D, you'll notice D is actually on the y-axis. It's not in a quadrant because it's on the axis. So where would it be for x? Well, we didn't go over any, so my x value is 0. That can happen, it's okay. This point, the origin is 0, 0. So that means I didn't go anywhere. So I'm saying I didn't go over any on my x grid. However, on the y, I went up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spots. Our final point over here, E, is in quadrant 2. So this is our negative side for x, but our positive side for y. So how far over is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Or in this case, a negative 7. And how far up did we go? We went up a positive 1.